So the time has come.
Hey, what's happening to you guys? Pyros here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the future of anime games. Now, yes, of course, this is not a topic that's unique or interesting or even original. This is a topic that you've probably heard time and time again from all your favorite anime YouTubers who've discussed about the future of anime games and where it's going to take us in the next 5 years or so. Now, for me personally, I wanted to just talk about it as objectively as I possibly can, because most people, when they tend to look at anime games, they tend to look at it from a subjective point of view. They don't really look at it as objectively as possible, like literally just realizing that it's companies selling us digital materials for our money. Like they're not trying to do us any favor. They're not trying to, essentially make us happy or anything like that. They are businesses trying to make a quick buck, and we are consumers giving them the money so that we can receive a product that at the most part should meet an industry standard of quality. A lot of people in the anime community, I feel like personally, tend to think mostly based on nostalgia. They don't really look at it from a perspective that, the more we give these companies money, the more it's telling these companies that, hey, these guys don't care about the high quality of a game. They just care about how many characters are going to be in this certain game. And it's gotten to the point where you can actually see how the mindset of these companies are taking place. For example, look at Shinobi Strikers, for example. Like, first of all, you guys already know how I feel about Shinobi Strikers. Shinobi Strikers, for me, I will be as real as I possibly can. I personally think it's complete and utter dog shit. You may have enjoyed it, that's fine. I can't tell you not to enjoy a game, but from a qualities perspective, from an industry standards, from my industry, well, not my industry, from an industry standpoint, that I feel like a game should achieve, if you want to ask someone to pay 60 euros for it, it did not meet that standard. Now, when you look at it at first, they try to do this whole, online only Naruto game where you just have to create your own character. There's going to be a certain amount of characters in the game and all that stuff. People got hyped up because at the core of it all, every Naruto fan wanted to be their own ninja, which is fair enough because I do enjoy creating my own characters, mostly because in anime and in anime games, there's not enough characters who look like me, so I kind of want to create my own character and just pretty much, just be a black shinobi, be a black wizard, be a black whatever, you know what it is. Now, look at the DLC for Shinobi Strikers. Do you notice something? And I'm pretty sure you do. The characters that they've revealed as DLC have been characters that have always been in previous games. They were never characters that you feel like, these qualify as DLC. They gave us, they gave us Madara, they gave us Tsunade, they gave us, who else? Obito, I think. They gave us Hashirama, I think maybe even gave us, Tobirama. Now, I'm not sure whether or not people had to pay for this DLC, but they did put them as DLC. So they understood that the anime community mostly only cared about characters as opposed to quality of the product. And they took full advantage of that. And they pretty much milked it, personally. And I feel like it's going to turn into a situation where characters that have always been a staple in a roster when it comes to anime games of any certain series, they'll slowly take them out and give them to you as DLC because they know that these are the fan favorite characters. I mean, look at Jump Force. Now, I can't remember all of the leaked DLC that people have that in mind from the previous patch or whatever the case may be, but from what I can remember, Seto Kaiba, Bakugo, I think some other popular characters, like a lot of popular characters that people have been wanting to see in Jump Force that should technically be in Jump Force. Like, I don't really care about Jump Force anymore. That's not a game that I feel like was not as good. And I wouldn't say it was dog shit, but I think it's reaching trash level, to be honest with you. But yeah, they're putting these characters as DLC. Now, so it already tells me that obviously all these businesses in Japan, they understand that the anime community prefers characters over story, over gameplay, over all that stuff. If the game doesn't have more than 50 characters, people aren't playing with it at all. So there's that. So like I said, the future of anime games. Where is it heading? Now, I remember watching a couple of videos back 4 or 5 years ago of people discussing about the future of anime games, and like the optimism that people had back then was amazing. It was really amazing. People had really high hopes that anime games would improve and be better. We're now in 2019, and we're getting games that actually look like they belong in 2005 or 2005, 2006, whatever the case. And it's because we allowed it to happen. We literally told these guys that we don't care. Give us all the characters and we'll be fine. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't have any good anime games. We had a handful. Now, I'm not gonna say like it's like more than 25%, but we've had a handful of pretty good anime games that have came out, broke the mold, and literally showed us that we can get good anime games if the companies behind them actually care enough to produce good quality games. And I feel like right now, going forward, we should be the ones to tell these companies how to create great products. And the only way we can do that is to speak with our wallet. I've said this several times. You've heard many people say this several times. We have to speak with our wallets. I've seen people make the argument saying that how can we support these anime games if we don't buy them? The only way that we can give them proper constructive feedback is to buy these games and then hope that they'll improve tomorrow or whatever the case may be. And it's like, that's not how that works sometimes. If you're talking about gameplay, that's different, because obviously you probably have to play the game to give constructive feedback. But we're talking about when you just look at the game from an objective standpoint as opposed to a subjective. Like you're looking at it from an objective standpoint with a fair eyes, and you're just constructively criticizing the game as from what you see essentially, and you give them criticism, both positive and negative, and you just tell them exactly what needs to be heard. And I feel like this is another aspect when it comes to anime games in general, and when it comes to the anime community as a whole. Popular anime series like Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, and maybe any other anime franchises that have had games in the past, they have this bubble that protects them, created by the community themselves, in which that whenever you try to criticize an anime game, you get labeled a hater, kind of creating this negative, how do I put this? It just creates this weird repellent for proper constructive criticism. Like, you can't criticize any anime game without being seen as a hater. This was happening with Shinobi Strikers. People would come out, make videos, tell the community that, hey guys, I feel like that this game will have this and that problems if we don't relay information, if we don't give these guys feedback, or if we don't stand our ground and tell them that we don't want this, blah 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 blah. And obviously you have certain people who come in and who would attack you for it. They will tell you that you're being a hater, you're being a negative asshole, pissed off, you don't like the game, things of that nature. They want to silence you so that they can enjoy being hyped for their games, which boggles their mind. Same thing happened with Jump Force. When Jump Force came out, a lot of people, a small amount of people, came out and made videos talking about the possible flaws, the possible aspects that this game may have come release. People have said several times that the alphas and the betas, mostly the betas that we've had for Shinobi, that can be included too, but the betas that we've had for both Shinobi Strikers and Jump Force aren't going to change that much from the actual release. That's what we see, especially when they release a beta a month to maybe 3 weeks before a game's release. You will see people in the comment section saying that this is just a beta, it will change in the final release. and come final release, nothing has changed. It remains the same. And you just have to use your head and just think logically. If you release a beta a month prior to a game's release date, it is no longer a beta, it is a demo. They're just covering themselves in case that you do find flaws while you're playing the game, so that your mindset is already at that aspect to which you would say, you know what, this is a beta, I'll give them the pass. I'm just saying is that the future of anime games is looking grim if we don't start being logical, objective and give an honest criticism. That's all we have to do. When we see that a game does not meet a certain industry quality, we shouldn't buy it. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. And when we don't buy a game and a game flops, which sometimes sacrifices have to be made to achieve a greater good, if a game flops, it will send a message to the rest of the companies who are probably thinking of pulling off the same bullshit, and they're gonna be like, you know what? The anime community is starting to change a little bit. They are now starting to demand actual quality instead of just being fanboys. Because it feels like to me, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it feels like the anime companies who create these games sees us as little nostalgic babies, and they're just feeding us whenever we start crying about what we want. How do I put this? It feels like we're being treated like fucking idiots. Like, we don't see flaws when we need to see flaws. Like, how do I put, like, not just in fighting games, like, I'm talking about in general. Like, there are many times we would see anime games, the trailers would look freaking hype, screenshots will look amazing. Screenshots are the biggest deceivers when it comes to anime games, because they capture the best parts of the game when it's in still mode. But obviously when it starts moving around, that's when you start to pick up on these problems. And when you pick up these games, it's like I remember when Jump Force came out and I didn't pick it up, and I saw all the people playing it, people started complaining, and I'm like, and the worst part is they were complaining on things that you could have easily have picked up if you just paid attention. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I feel like I said before, the future of anime games, it's looking grim. I feel like we need more people in the anime community that are going to be objective and that are going to be given fair criticism. I think, because I actually wrote a blog talking about the effects of hype beast channels, and I feel like by just saying that, you probably already know what I mean by that. Channels, people who just hype up games without actually criticizing it. So they just say, oh, this game's gonna be amazing. They're saying everything that the fan base want to hear. No fan base wants to actually hear poor criticism of a game, essentially. Look at Crackdown 3. I have never ever seen a group of people defend that game with an iron passion. People were defending this game like it was a masterpiece, and you just didn't have the artistic mindset to conceptualize what you're seeing. Like, you just couldn't grasp the just masterpiece that was before you. You were just a buffoon if you couldn't see what Crackdown 3 was accomplishing. Like, that's how bad that damage control was. Like, it got to a point where they almost made me feel like I was an idiot for not even seeing what they were seeing. Crackdown 3 was a massive disappointment. We all know this. Anyone with a common sense would see that this game did not live up to what they showed us back at 2013, I believe. But Jesus Christ, they defended that game. These were true damage controllers at heart. They lived up to that name. So at least the anime community, we're not that bad. Our problem is that we complain after we've paid. After we've paid, that's when we complain. And I feel like we shouldn't be doing that. We should be complaining before we pay. And when we see that this game, we need to, I think the difficulty thing is that we need to just stand by our ground. Like, when people say they're not gonna buy a game, you need to be able to stand by your word and say that you're not gonna buy the game, and just really stand by it. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. It may have felt like I was rambling a little bit, but I've been thinking about this. You know, a lot of people now. I've seen a lot of people, you know, wanting Arc System Works to start creating all these anime games, which is fair enough. I too would like to see certain games being made by Arc System Works, because they've proven time and time again that they can make excellent anime games. I think like I said, from Dragon Ball Fighters, Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, what else? Killer Kill looks amazing. I think they're also making Grand Blue as well, which is another anime series. Arc System Works is making moves, and I've seen a lot of people obviously wanting them to start making games like Naruto, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, things of that nature. You know, Black Clovers, what else? Maybe even a fucking My Hero Academia. Speaking of which, I just realized My Hero Academia, or My Heroes One's Justice, was another game that people hyped up, that people criticized, got attacked for it. The game came out, lived up to those criticisms, and now who's talking about it? Who's talking about it? You know what I mean? Shinobi Strikers came out after a month, it fucking died. Jump Force, it's about to die. Fair enough, it's about to die. And then people are saying, oh no, what game can last a month? I mean, when you look at Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, when you look at Dragon Ball Fighters, when you look at what other game? I can't think of another game. Jeez. When you look at Storm games, the Storm games lasted very, very long. I feel like personally, maybe Storm 3. In between the Storm series, they were lasting pretty long. Like, you know, you could be playing that game for 4-5 months before you actually dropped it, because, you know, there was something that kept you coming back. That's what it means when you create a quality game. When you create a quality game, people will come back naturally. That's what I mean. And that's what I mean, like when I said that the companies are starting to pick up on the trends, they're starting to realize that people just don't want, you know, quality. We only care about characters, nostalgia. We want to see X, Y, and Z in the game, because we want to see what X, Y, and Z can do in the game, and all that stuff. And then, okay, let me show you just how they started to pick up on these things. When you look at Shinobi Strikers, look at the DLC they were giving us. They were picking up the fact that these characters were the popular characters. These characters were the characters that we wanted. Madara, Obito, Hashirama, okay, maybe not Tsunade, but they were picking up on characters that we actually liked and we would like to see. Minato, for example, characters that have always been a staple in the rosters. They took them out, put them as DLC. I don't know if they charged for the DLC or not. If they were free DLC, okay, fair enough, that's fine. But if you had to pay for them, like let's say €99 or maybe $2.99 or something like that, come on. Look at Jump Force. Okay, Jump Force is a little different. Yes, it was weird that they put characters like, you know, like Cell, Piccolo, Gaara, Kaguya, and all that stuff. But then when you look at the DLC that's coming out, you have Bakugo, you have Seto Kaiba, Madara, the characters that people actually wanted. Well, the characters that actually made sense to be in the game in the first place. Kinda suspicious if you ask me, you know what I mean? Like, DLCs for me have always been... How do I put DLCs? I feel like DLCs is like extra content that you didn't know that you wanted, and now you're getting it. That's how I feel like DLCs has always been for me personally. So characters that are supposed to be in the game should be in the game, and when you get those extra characters, like here's an example. Let's say you're playing a Naruto game and you've gotten all the main characters that have been in the anime series, and all of a sudden they announce, you know, Indra and Azura out of nowhere. They didn't have any gameplay, they didn't have any fights in the anime or anything like that, but they showed up as DLC. I feel that'd be fine. Anyways, that's just my thoughts and opinion on it. The future of anime games is looking grim. It's becoming more and more difficult for me to even see an anime game that I actually want to pay for. Except for if it's an Arc System Works game, I feel like I would easily pay money if the game looks good, personally. And yeah, I feel like I said before, let me just recap real quickly. we should really speak with our wallets. That is the only way now that we can make a difference. We should hold all YouTubers accountable to what they say as well, personally. Because, yeah, like me growing up, I was watching a lot of these anime YouTubers. I was getting very impressionable by their stuff that they were doing, the way that they hyped up the game and all that stuff. It is easy, especially when you're young, because you're watching all your favorite YouTubers playing the game, and you want to be a part of that community, and so you end up going around and buying the game because you want to be part of that community, and that's I feel like that's another influence as well. Like it may not be a strong one, but it does add to this whole picture of mine. Now, yeah, that part may have come off as me probably attacking YouTubers, or maybe some people might feel attacked by it, but it's like it's the truth. You know what I mean? When you create videos and you're hyping up the game and clearly ignoring the flaws of a game that you know isn't worth €60, that you probably didn't even pay for as well. Let's keep that in mind. That's some people receive the games for free because of their large amount of sub counts. Businesses will see them as a great opportunity to advertise their game, so why not send them a free copy so that they can play the game, and they're playing the game, and then you as a person who's watching the game, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh man, I want to join my favorite YouTuber, I want to join this community, and you go out of your way to the nearest game shop, you pay €60 just to join in the community, you realize the game is shit, but who's suffering here? Do you know what I mean? That's just my thoughts and opinion. If you want to discuss it, the comment section is below. We can talk about it. You can share your thoughts and opinion. I'll share mine. And then, yeah, personally, this is how I feel. The anime game future, the future of anime games is not looking good. It is not looking good. We should be improving. Instead, we are regressing. We are going backwards. We are not moving forward in the way that we're supposed to. Other games, other series are improving, are constantly growing. Yes, they have their own flaws too, let's not forget that, but they're technically still improving. Whereas anime games, like there's so much, like the thing about anime games, I know I'm still talking even though I'm trying to end this video, but the thing about anime games is that we don't have to go for super realistic graphics. I think we're pretty close to plateauing the limits of a graphical anime game. At this point now, the focus should be on just creating a proper game with depth, with great controls, and just overall, just don't be bare bones. That's what I'm trying to say.